Welcome to the session. First of all, on a quick classical art scale, how are you feeling today? This is our check-in. I thought we'd go with something a bit more fun and funky. And all you have to do is hover over the image and put your how you feeling right now. Whoa, I'm gonna go for 9, but we had a quick tech hiccup here. So I'm like, whoa, but then we fix it. So I'm ready to go. Sweet. My name is Anna Maria. I am tuning in from Amsterdam today, and we are going to spend an hour talking about priorities and getting our priorities straight. And when we have a lot of things on our to-do list, how do we prioritize on what to focus on next? And while we're all checking in, I want to briefly introduce our host or guest today, Sura. Hello. The former Innovation and Creativity Director at the Walt Disney Company, and currently a transformational leadership coach and a chief creativity strategist and CEO in her own company. Hi, hello, Sura. And maybe you can tell us more what's behind that name, Sura. Brings 20 years of experience and has been a catalyst for organizational transformation through innovation, creativity, and leadership development across various industries. I know that she also hosts a podcast, but I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us more about that. Fantastic. So thank you everyone for checking in. I'm closing the scales here. And so Sura, over to you. The floor is yours.
Anna Maria, and thank you so much, Mercedes, and apologies for the technical hiccup. So I feel like that really brings to life getting your priorities straight. Like, I need to test this technology ahead of time. So great to meet you, and I'm going to start sharing screen right now, which will kind of introduce me a little bit as well. And also, I'm really excited to get to know you. So this time together, although I'll be sharing some information, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions or put things on the chat or any inspirations. So once again, welcome. And I'm happy to see, we're here. We finally arrived on Friday. Oh, that's totally fine that you can't put your video. I'm just so happy that you're here. So just a little bit of a brief introduction to myself. My name is Sura. And Sura actually means walking in the desert at night. So I don't do any walking. Well, I was born in Baghdad. So just as a little brief background to myself. And as you can tell from the accent, although I'm based in Florida, I grew up in England, in London, from about the age of 5. So my name means walking in the desert at night. But since having spoken to quite a few people, I've heard that there are alternative meanings to my name, such as chapter and picture. But I have a lot of Greek friends, and they have shared with me that my name also means to be drunk. So whichever option you want to choose, I like the variety that is available in the name. And for the longest time, my spelling isn't that great. And so when I would write what my name meant, instead of writing walking in the desert at night, I would write walking in the desert at night, with a double S. So there it is. So a little bit of background. I've been in the world of creativity and innovation for over 20 years now, but I've always been a fan of Disney. This is me at the age of 9 visiting Disneyland. Walking in the desert, yes. Walking in the desert at night drunk is I'm sure it is a challenge amongst other things. Thanks, Sarah. So I call my career walking or circling the elephant, because I've been in the world of consultancy with innovation and creativity. And then I left London to work at a couple of startups, 3D printing of luxury jewelry back in 2006, and then B2B technology for car dealers in San Francisco. But then I got the call to go work for the mouse for Disney in Florida, and I just couldn't resist. And up until 5 years ago, I was working in-house in their innovation think tank. And I really had the privilege and the honor to work for quite a variety of different organizations, as well as Disney, Procter and Gamble. And actually, back in the day, I did work on the Jaguar campaign. Although if any of you are watching the news, I'm not responsible for their shift in strategy. I know there's a lot to talk about just there. So our time together, we're here to get our priorities straight. And really what I'm looking to offer and hope that we can offer each other is just a little shift in perspective. So here we have some bats. And I'm just curious as to what you think they're up to right now. If you want to put in the chat what you think they're up to. Getting ready to sleep. Yes, exactly. Dancing. Yes. Oh my goodness. It's like you read my mind. Whispering secrets, hanging out, gossiping. This is my kind of sleepover. Hey, bro, that was fun. Planning their Christmas party. Well, I love it. Yes. Getting acquainted, changing their perspective. Well, I think you all nailed it, because not only are they getting ready to sleep, they are actually looking to, start a dance party, gossip, and share all the things for the upcoming Christmas. So that's what we're looking to do here. So as you know, a lot of the time, the things that seem one way can often seem another way. And so how can we shift that perspective, get a broader context so that we can see the full elephant from different perspectives? So our time here today, as promised, we're looking to get a practical framework to prioritize initiatives, also identify and avoid common pitfalls. So I don't know about you, but I often have decision-making fatigue. And also when I'm looking to make a decision with a group of individuals, how do we make that collective decision, but still stay true to what it is that we're looking to achieve in that moment? And there is also some sharing of some visual tools to compare and enhance ideas or initiatives. I'm going to use the word ideas today, but you can really slice and splice whether that's a strategic initiative, whether it's within your team, a list of priorities, or quite frankly, at home, within friends or within your family, looking to decide where you're going to focus your energy. What are those big stones that you're putting into the jar first, so that you make sure that you're really hitting the things that are impactful and that are important to you. So with that said, we're actually focusing, within the journey that we're on, we're really focusing here within the prioritizing section. But of course, within the whole innovation journey, and when I use the word innovation, I mean, really the ability to think differently and to be able to provide impact for your scenario. So at the beginning, within the vision stage, we're really looking to clarify, what are we solving for, what's important. After that, we're looking to have those divergent ideas to create those solutions. And then once you have all of those solutions, how do you actually decide which ones you want to pick for impact and success, so that you can go on to develop them, make them strong for the world, and then have them be successful. So as I mentioned today, the specific tools that I'm going to focus on are here in the prioritizing section. But of course, at every step of the way, you're creating options and then you're making choices. So let's get into it. So this is something that is flexible. This is something that you can do, within 5 minutes, or this is something that you might do over a duration of a few days. Before we get into that, I'd really love an opportunity to get to know you. And it's also in the spirit of decision making. So in the chat, or if you want to add any emojis or come off and just be on video and wave your hand at me, I have a few questions for you. And you might also want to have a look and see your peers and see what their preferences are in this given moment. So here we go. I would love to ask, the game is called This or That. So beach or mountains? Okay, so Jess says beach. We've got another beach from Kathleen. We've got some mountain action here for the person in blue. Okay. I'm not
I turned on annotations for everyone so we can actually write
Oh,
on your
love
slides
it.
now, Surah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, perfect. We've got mountains. I feel like we have a split team, although the beach does seem to be kind of rising a little bit. I can't decide. I really need this workshop. Okay, great, Sarah. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next one is coffee or tea? Coffee or tea? Okay, we're getting some coffee action. Coffee from Sarah, coffee from Kathleen, coffee. Okay, we coffee heavy, coffee forward here. Very coffee. I am also a coffee individual. All right, wonderful. We do have a tea contender. Love it. Okie dokie. Let's go to the next one. We've got two more. All right. A little bit of a lag, but I can give you a teaser. Dogs or cats? Dogs or cats? I'm sure it will load at some point.
Oh, we see it. You don't see it?
Oh, good.
Yes.
Well, as long as you see it, that's the most important thing. Oh, I skipped ahead. Okay, great. So we have I don't know what we had for dogs or
Beer
cats,
and wine.
but now we're in beer and wine country. All right. So okay, so we have a lot of wine. Love it. Okay, I'm personally wine. I was dogs, I was coffee, I was beach. So all of this is to kind of bring to light neither. Okay. What is your Barbara, what is your beverage of choice? Water, love it. Yes. Yes, I've got my water right here. Very important. Kombucha. Yes, kombucha is great. Great fermenter, great for the gut. Okay, wonderful. So this is all really to kind of bring to life that just within our group, there are different preferences when making choices. And so when we're collaborating with others, we can often be making these choices from different places, different preferences. Maybe you always used to go for a walk on the beach with your family or a good friend. So maybe there's a historical aspect. Maybe you have access to the mountains. So there is sort of like a logistical aspect. Maybe you had a really bad experience with beer at some point in your teenage years and you've transferred over to wine, right? So there's a myriad of reasons that impact our decision-making ability. And so when we're thinking about different initiatives with our peers, we can definitely be going for the first option. And the first option is, the passion vote. What is pulling at the heartstrings when you're collaborating in a team? What is pulling at the heartstrings? What is the thing where you're sort of seeing the energy? What is it, with any new initiative and idea, it takes quite a lot to get it out into market. There's going to be a lot of obstacles. I believe kitchen soup for the soul or soup for the soul. I think I'm getting it wrong, but soup for the soul, I think they were rejected 160 times before they got published. So anything that you're looking to do, really, we need to sort of be checking in with the energy level. So I would say that this is the first point of contact. But there can be quite a few pitfalls when doing that. So in your from your background and your experience when you voted on ideas, what are some things that could go wrong when you've been in that voting process in a group? Are there any pitfalls or any things that you have noticed when you have been doing that, either digitally or in person? Groupthink. Yes, exactly, Anne-Marie. Groupthink. So if I see that somebody's placed their vote somewhere, then, I might be swayed. Not enough time to consider the different choices. Yes. After you have some votes, people try to stick to what others say. Yeah, some more groupthink. Conflict of interest between stakeholders. Yes, absolutely. Analysis paralysis. Yes, there's just so much. Which one should we choose? There's quite a few coming in actually. Only focused on the individual priorities versus the group or the team, and not being realistic, rational, not enough information overall on the purpose, my own rhythm and time. Perfect. That's absolutely wonderful. Yes. So there's a lot of challenges that you've highlighted just specifically within the voting process. And so this first one and the approach to it alleviates some of them. And then the next tool that I'm going to share with you hopefully alleviates actually a lot of the other ones. So I think that, you know, we've obviously all had a lot of experience in this area. So just as I mentioned, or as you mentioned a moment ago, the passion vote. So some of the watch outs are the group think. The other one is, we call it the paycheck parade. So if there's a certain element of seniority or influence in the room, then, you know, maybe some individuals, you know, will kind of track with that individual versus the thing that you're really passionate about. And then the other one is the Hail Mary. So, you know, if an idea isn't getting any votes, there's always somebody who kind of like wants to save that idea, right? But it's not actually on the merit of the idea itself. So there are some workarounds to that, and I'm going to take you through it in just right now. So the first one is to create idea consistency. So a lot of the time when we have different initiatives or ideas, this sounds really simple, but it might not be presented in the same way. So something might have a very beautiful, motivating expression, or the person presenting is very charismatic, very extroverted, very used to presenting. And then another idea that actually might be quite strategically on point is not presented with the same gravitas. So in whatever form you can, having idea consistency is very powerful before deciding between different options. So in this particular instance, we're addressing different learning styles. So a punchy headline, you know, if you were glancing at this wall or at this Miro board, you know, what is, you know, your internal facing punchy headline that you can kind of recognize it, an explanation in sentences, and then of course, some sort of doodle to kind of bring that to life. So that is number one tip when deciding between different initiatives. Then the other one is, of course, anonymity. So how do we create that anonymity? Of course, if you're using Miro, it's a lot easier because, you know, all the votes get tallied at the same time. But let's say you're in the room together. How does that happen? So numbering the ideas. Somebody said that they didn't have time to read the ideas. Really just having a reflective moment so that you can actually, you know, have the time to read it without any chatter. And then finally, being able to vote anonymously. So a lot of the time we give people these sticky hearts, and then you're able to, you know, put the number of the idea, one per sticky heart. And then when the time is released, you're able to place your vote onto the idea. Or sometimes we actually exchange the stickies between other individuals. So it's truly anonymous. And so within that, what we're doing is we are, you know, understanding where the passion is in the room. And sometimes where the passion is not what is actually strategically aligned, but it's always important to actually find out where the energy is. But once we've got to this point, now what? Now what do we do? We've got, you know, certain ones that have 4 votes, certain ones that have 3. How do we decide which ones to pursue, which ones to cultivate, and which ones to give our resources and energy to, you know, bolster and get stronger? And that's where I really want to take you, you know, and it's just sort of the same as sort of deciding which sweet or chocolate, or as we mentioned a moment ago, you know, beach or mountain, wine or beer. So in a collaborative group, how do we address the thing that is most important for the strategic initiative of the group? And this is where I really want to introduce you to a tool. So before I do that, I just wanted to mention that after this, with it being Friday and me being so close to the Caribbean, I'm going to jump on a plane and go and see Richard Branson. And ahead of time, some of you, you know, he is actually on the lookout for some new ideas, for some new businesses, right? And as you know, he has quite the empire. And ahead of time, some of you have provided me with some potential options for me to share with him. So I got tractors, as a potential new revenue stream. I got a plant dispensary, hotels, full body dryers, which actually they're in Japan now. 15 minutes, your whole body can get clean. Or self-driving spaceships. These were the options that were provided to me ahead of time. And so a couple, based on my conversations with him, I sort of thought like could be options, but I only have time to present one. So we're going to go through the exercise together. So here I want to present you with the Stargazer. And so the Stargazer is essentially a tool that you can use to immediately and very quickly find out, how an idea or an initiative is performing. And according to the strategic initiatives or according to the success criteria that you put forward at the beginning of the challenge. And so that really is a top tip is that, when we're trying to decide between different initiatives, what does success look like? Really being clear with that at the beginning is going to help you make that decision once you have your options. And there is obviously many tools to create your success criteria, but today we're going to be focusing on, we're going to assume that you have your success criteria. So with Virgin, they have a series of success criteria. They have that it has to have the Virgin vibe, great quality, great value, great customer experience, and challengingly innovative. So we're going to have a look at tractors right now. And so we said that, we've got the metrics here of 1 to 3, or you could have them 1 to 5. So we said that the Virgin vibe, we decided that, maybe it's a 1 being not so Virgin-esque. But, if it was really spot on, it would be a 3. So here we have a 1 as a vote. We've got great quality as a 2, because I'm sure everything that we make will be a 2, will be fairly reasonable. Will it be great value? We said it'll be a 1. Great customer experience, we've got it as a 2. And challengingly innovative, we have it as a 1. So this is the surface area for tractors right now. But, we don't know how the next one's going to do. So let's go have a look. So we have full body dryers, and wow, look at this. We have it performing as a 3 for challengingly innovative. Virgin vibe, oh my goodness. I can imagine this at the lounges, in the airports. So yes, it's a 3 for our Virgin vibe. Great quality, of course, at a 3. Great value, yeah, maybe. We've got that as a 2. And great customer experience, we've actually got that as a 1. So looking at these 2 initiatives, what do you notice on the Stargazer? What's popping to your mind as you look at these? Full body dryers have more potential. Yes, absolutely. One more looks like a style than the other. Yes. See, I have them scrolling at the bottom. It's a good tool to use to see the difference. Yes, absolutely. So very quickly here, we've just used this with 2 different ideas or initiatives. You can see that one has more surface area than another. Now, let's pretend clear and direct. Yeah. So let's pretend for a moment that tractors within the group had a lot of passion. It had a lot of boats. And, does this mean that we ditch tractors? Well, not necessarily, but if we've identified success as these success metrics, how much more work is it going to take to get tractors amplified where it's performing better on the success criteria? Are each of the metrics defined prior to doing this exercise? Yeah, and tractors can be a good pilot for customer experience. Exactly. Yes, exactly, Julia. So yes, actually, that is our next slide. So let me show you right now. So the metrics need to be defined ahead of time of doing this exercise. So a lot of the time we have these ideas and these initiatives, and sometimes it's really, we've jumped into execution mode and we haven't sort of pushed pause to kind of consider what success can look like. So ideally you've done this at the beginning, but at any stage in the project, stepping back for a moment and defining success will pay dividends for being able to kind of really compare initiatives that on the face of it look very different to one another. And you can go into a lot of different detail depending on the complexity of the project, depending on the importance of the project. You can define it in quite a meticulous way. So in this particular instance, each one of these 1, 2, and 3, for all of them have been defined. So number 1 in challengingly innovative means that it meets minimal brand standards. So for example, Virgin America was the first sort of like funky airline with quirky lighting and the ability for you to order your food when you chose to. Number 2, here in this metric is challenging accepted norms for a more innovative experience. So here we have Virgin Atlantic. So that was the first time that we kind of had that full customer experience of picking you up in a limo or a motorbike from your home, delivering you through a separate entrance to your first class lounge, if that's what you were taking. And then being in the lounge, people have been known to arrive there hours early because of the massage services, the bespoke book collection, incredible chefs, and this is back in the 2000s. This has become a bit more commonplace right now. And then number 3, challengingly innovative, fundamental transformation and a creation of a new category. So that would be something like Virgin Galactica. So for your project, not only would you want to define the success metrics ahead of time, defining what a 1, 2, 3 is would be very important. So for example, when I've worked at Disney on a brand marketing campaign, we've gone ahead and defined each metric. Another thing that I've been asked is, do all of these are all of these weighted equally? And for example, with Virgin, if it doesn't get a 3 on challengingly innovative or Virgin Vibe today, then it's something that won't be considered as a future initiative. So within your project, if there are multiple stakeholders or it is very complex, that you might want to consider weighting them. So I'm going to pause right there and just see what comments you have or additional questions before we move forward.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was curious, Surah, if who defines this? Is the team defining them? Are they coming as a rule of thumb from like higher end leadership? Like who decides the importance of this?
Yeah, so the success criteria I would recommend is defined by the key stakeholders that are responsible for decision making, but also to have some representation from implementation. So that, so for example, if you have a stakeholder that maybe is is a bit more removed from implementation and execution, then kind of having that representation within the group is really important. So I would say no more than 2 to 3 individuals defining our success criteria.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And also just kind of as exactly ideators, strategizers, executors to understand what's reasonable. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and within a group, I love that you bring this up, Julia, because if you have different preferences, even within your own team, if you have the ones that are the strategizers, the ones that are always asking the questions and asking the why behind something, You might have the ideators who are, big picture thinkers, the developers who are constantly noodling things, and then the implementers. So even within a team, to have representation from, different thinking styles would be, so for example, if you're doing this within a project and it's a consumer insights project, can you have different representation within that when defining success criteria? And then also, just some sort of rules of thumb. Generally, something about the brand, is it on brand? Something about the consumer voice. Are we representing the voice of the consumer or the consumer truth? Those being within that are super important. But then, of course, it's going to vary depending on the project, easy rollout, buzzworthy, quality. That really kind of comes back to the brand values, but also specifically that project. So I'll pause right there. So the other thing that this gives us an opportunity to do is to, let's say we were going to go with, the self-drying, the body drying device. We can see here that, we're still not performing at a 3 there. So there's still an opportunity now to be in an expansive headspace and, look at how can we bolster this idea and make it stronger. And I think we've kind of covered this, but it democratizes the conversation beyond the passion, beyond the seniority in the room, beyond the loudest person in the room. And it allows us to compare in a more objective way and creates that clarity. And just to kind of give you a couple of examples of where this has happened. So here we have an example within Disney. We were trying to decide where to create our next port for cruises. And we hadn't been able to make a decision between the executives for about 3 months. We paused, we defined what success looked like. Then we were able to compare the different ports that were options. And we quickly were able to see that the port that was the favorite didn't have a couple of key components that we needed. And then we're able to pivot and choose the port that would be much more amenable to us. And this was something that, people had struggled with for about 3 months, having multiple meetings, multiple conversations, different stakeholders from different perspectives. The other example is when we had a marketing campaign in Europe that was centered around Disneyland Paris. We had a lot of activations for the 25-year anniversary. And so what we did is we got the country leads, we got all the country leads into the room. We had the different initiatives. We had them, first of all, do the Stargazer with the different initiatives. But then, more importantly, we were able to get them to look at the idea, identify, hey, what are a couple of concerns that you have for this initiative, from your country's perspective, from your unique challenges and opportunities. What are a couple of concerns that you have? And then what are the ways that you can alleviate or solution for these challenges? So very quickly, we're getting the country leads to be able to use their expertise to contribute, and really give their unique touch to the ideas. So I would say that, maybe sometimes you don't have the people who are creating the initiatives, maybe the key stakeholders aren't there for the creation of the initiatives, but this is actually like a perfect moment to bring them in, because then they're able to give it that molding, give it that touch, and they're also able to, have ambassadorship for the initiative, because now they know that their voice is represented. Great, Julia. I love that you like that. Is there a particular instance where you think that you might be able to use this?
We at our company are just in the US currently, but I think even with localization of some of our offerings in the US across cultures, so right, we have people from all over the US, And I think that this is a great thing to keep in mind when we think of different office locations throughout the US. So just something that piqued my interest. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, we've done projects where, for example, it's been different regions, but also, you might have something like, marketing, consumer research, strategy. This is really the perfect melting pot to bring those different perspectives. But then equally, there are tools like, for example, if you weren't able to get those different perspectives in the room, you could assume the personality, at least to have a first guess before you're able to share it with those individuals. And I'm actually just going to skip ahead for a sec and come back just to kind of show you a couple of tools that could be used for just that. So the first one is, we'll come back to this. Okay, so the first one is poke and patch. So for example, let's say you have these different initiatives, you've done your Stargazer, but now although the idea is performing, it's, it hasn't seen the light of day. It might have, an organ rejection because it's something new. So hopefully it's something that will require a little bit of courage, to get into the organization, because we're looking here for ideas or maybe initiatives that have deep impact. So the poke and patch is really an opportunity within, your groups to, look at the idea, poke, some, maybe 3 challenges that the idea has, and then ideate to generate a range of solutions around that. And once you've done that, you can kind of re-express the idea, assimilating the different feedback that has come in, so that, and again, it's stronger now to sort of meet different stakeholders and be shared throughout the organization. So that is one of the options. So, what are the show blockers and obstacles? And then what are the potential solutions? And this can be done really collaboratively within the group. And also, it's a great way to kind of have those introverted thinkers represented as well as different stakeholders. And then the other one is kind of the 360 panel, right? The 360 roundtable. So when we look at this initiative and the idea, who could be impacted by it? Who are the key stakeholders, whether it's end user, buy user, decision maker, but not end user, etc. Like the list could be endless. And then which are the important ones that we want to pay attention to? What might their objections be for this particular idea? What might bother them about that? And again, generating some sort of ideas or solutioning, and then incorporating that back into the idea. So, we're going, so again, from sort of like making decisions, analyzing, critiquing, but then always kind of coming back into a space of, like, how can we make this better? How can we ensure its success? And, at the end of the day, everything is, just best current thinking. And so, we're really looking to have something tangible for people to respond to, so that, so that we can get a reaction, and so that we can sort of see things that we haven't seen yet. So I'm going to pause right there and see if there are any reflections, ahas, or questions, and I'm really curious about where you might be able to use this, in your current, arena, or maybe groups that you might be able to introduce this to.
For questions, you can use the chat, or you can use the Q button and just kind of queue yourself up. The mic.
Love the localization aspect of it. Yes. You could use it as an entrepreneur, deciding what to work on. Yes, exactly. I 100% agree with you, because I'm so passionate about so many of the ideas that I have as a business owner, but which one is strategically going to move the needle for me? That's so great. Alison, sometimes there are too many people with too many different requirements, needs. The 360 roundtable might get bogged down. How do you resolve this? Yes, I love that you say that, Alison. Okay, so this is like within the room, as I mentioned, this can be done with, micro groups within the room where we're having the opportunity to poke holes and have those perspectives. But in terms of the 360 roundtable, what I would say is this is really for the people who are in the room creating the idea and having ambassadorship. So that doesn't mean that we're Frankensteining the idea. We're just looking to have a look at it from a couple of alternative perspectives to make sure that we're considering that option. So for example, when I worked on a timeshare project, we made sure that we had finance in the room and legal in the room because a lot of the ideas were quite dependent on that. And actually they were really helpful to, showing potential pitfalls, but also saying, look, if you tweak it like this, this is how you resolve it. But this isn't an invitation to, send the idea to 50 people within the organization, because really at this point, the initiative is still vulnerable. It's not strong enough, and it's very easy to kill an idea. So really, it's the people in the room. It's and ultimately, it's a couple of key stakeholders who are kind of making the decisions about what to move forward with. We could use this. Alison, does that help at all?
Yes, thank you in the chat.
Oh, great, wonderful. Sometimes we could use this to make career move decision. Yes, absolutely. I would also wonder if I could use it in designing learning experiences in teams and with this tool to consider the options. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Wonderful. And I think this really kind of gets at the heart of being able to get clarity on, what are those success metrics? Because you might have success metrics that are important as a brand or, as an organization, but then they might shift for specific projects. How can we say no in a healthy, respectful way to some idea which doesn't resonate and align with the plan and the strategy? Yeah, so I think that the Stargazer kind of enables a way to say no, because if something, for example, if we have the tractor idea and it's not aligning strategically, it's a way to kind of have a constructive conversation with a stakeholder to kind of share the options, but then also to share where they're performing strategically. And I think that's where really having a executive or some sort of shielding becomes important. And so being able to define the success criteria with a key decision maker so that the success criteria is not constantly shifting in the wind is also really helpful. Another way to say no in a healthy way is through establishing something like a brain trust. And it could be used in a retrospective. So brain trust is where individuals, and this is really quite powerful in creative sessions, where individuals are able to share what they love about the idea, but they're also able to share a couple of concerns. But the positioning of it is really that you are the ambassador of the idea and that you can take on feedback as you choose and as you see fit, because ultimately you're the one that's responsible for executing and implementing on the idea. So I'll pause just for a second and just sort of share with you as well that there is an opportunity to kind of go deeper into all of these areas through going through vision, through the idea. So the vision is really where we'll be establishing success criteria, and there are several tools to do just that. Then the ideation, how do you get into that lateral thinking and have the expansive different initiatives. We just did the Stargazer, which is being able to kind of choose and also sort of see how the ideas are stacking up. And then the next stage would be the iteration process. So with different organizations, what we've actually done within teams is that they've kind of gone through this learning process with, in cohorts. So they've been able to learn through this material, but then they've been immediately able to apply that to a challenge, and then have cohort coaching. So if you have teams where they are facing specific challenges, but you are wanting them to sort of upskill in terms of how to think about things differently, how to think about things, more strategically and creatively. I've worked with organizations where we've essentially had the teams go through it, through the curriculum, and then actually apply it to a challenge, and then come back at the other end of it and be able to pitch their ideas. And then, specific ideas were able to, get funded and provide value back into the organization. So I'll pause. Stargazer tool, where to search if I'd like to read more about it. So this is a part of the curriculum that I've been using, but I'm sure that if you looked into, so number one, you could reach out to me for more information, absolutely. And then also if you wanted to have, and I have videos on it, I have worksheets on it, etc. And then also if you wanted to have a look at other resources like Session Lab, people might have different perspectives or different experiences in using that. So I'd highly recommend Session Lab as well. But if you are wanting to share this with other individuals, then there's a way to do that through, if you wanted to do it in an async way, there's a way to do that through videos or through any medium really. Perfect. All right, so here are my contact details. And I just wanted to say thank you to you, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity. And I was just curious if you had any other questions or reflections, and thanks so much for spending the time today.
Thank you very much, Surah. I'm opening a quick poll as a checkout for everyone. Feel free to add any type of question. We have a few more minutes, so now it's like a last opportunity to pick Surah's brain. Otherwise, the checkout question is, what is one thing I can steal away and bring to my work from what I've heard today? I want to give Surah a big round of applause.
Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Julia, I just saw your question. If you wanted to maybe email me, then I'd be really happy to share more. Or the QR code, you're able to book some time with me. But I'm happy to chat about it more and give more input.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
passionate.
Right. Love it.
The Stargazer tour, the tool in itself, of course. Success criteria metrics, the 360 roundtable. Doodle it. Yay! Doodle the idea. Okay, fantastic. Thanks everyone for booking in an hour of your time and giving it to learning. Thank you, Surah, for accepting our invitation to share and allowing us to learn from you and your experience. And we'll see you around the L&D Shakers community. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay awesome. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.